Carrington back to accept the kickoff from Bjorn Nittmo. Snow on the field, but not as much as there was earlier. They got most of it all as it stacked on top of the tarp. They had a tough time getting the tarps off the field so they could play. Ken Bell to his left. Stayed on his feet for an extra 5 yards. Greg Jackson made the hit. That started him down. Elway starts at quarterback. For him, statistically, it hasn't been his best year, but he's still plenty good. Up front, Perry, Juriga, Karts, Wydell, Ken Lanier, Clarence Kay, the tight end. Bobby Humphrey has been a great help to this Bronco team. Melvin Bratton starts with him. Wide receivers, Johnson and Jackson, and that's Melvin Bratton. Very little. John Washington wrapped it up. Lawrence Taylor, John, is not in the lineup. Let's look at the defense then. Washington, Howard, and Marshall up front. Banks, Reasons, Pepper Johnson, and Johnny Cook starting in place of Taylor, the linebackers. And in the secondary, Collins, Williams, Kennard, and Guyton. Adrian White and Sheldon White come in when they use 6 defensive backs. Elway back to throw it. Screen pass early to Bratton. Not enough for a first down. Stopped by Mark Collins. A gain of 5.
Well, that must be the thing with Lawrence Taylor, Pat, is yesterday he was out here. He practiced. The Giants came in on Friday. They practiced here at Mile High yesterday. Lawrence Taylor was out there. They thought he would play more tonight. And I guess he had a back spasm overnight. Came out here, was out here a little while for the pregame warm-up, and then went back in.
3rd and 2. He just took a very little part of the warm-up and then went back. 82 yards. Bobby Humphrey, the ball carrier, did not make the first down. Those of you who were watching Atlanta, Minnesota, welcome to Mile High Stadium in Denver. The Vikings continue to win. They beat Atlanta 43-17. It's 0-0 here with 13:10 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden. It is a first down. Bobby Humphrey has added an element to this Denver offense that they haven't had in a long time. 2 tight ends. Johnson in motion. Humphrey again. 1 tough yard. Stopped in the hands of Leonard Marshall.
Yeah, we were talking to Bobby Humphrey yesterday. He said that when he came out in the supplemental draft, remember, he could have played for another year in college, and when he decided that he had broken his foot twice, decided he didn't want to take another chance in college, so he came out and he said maybe the first year he'd just make a little contribution, special teams play a little here and there. He didn't even dream that he would be a 1,000-yard runner.
Well, he's got 3 more games to get it. And here he is again. With a little room this time, and he's close to another Bronco first down. Stopped by Reason.
Yeah, and that is the type of running that this Bronco team does so well. That delay stuff, that draw stuff. And Dan Reeves was saying that this, as a rookie, the guy has really learned how to read this stuff. You see, it's a delay. He waits. He lets the blocking develop. He lets things happen, finds his hole, then boom, hits right through it.
3rd and a yard. Broncos at their own 44-yard line. It's Bratton stationing Humphrey behind him, and he gets the carrier again and gets another first down. Gary Reasons again on the stop with Terry Kennard. A gain of 4.
Melvin Bratton is the fullback. The Broncos are starting 2 rookies in their backfield. You see that? They lined up in 3 different backfield formations before they finally got in the eye, gave it to Humphrey, and he picked up the first down.
Melvin Bratton, another rookie in the backfield. Big, 225, and he can catch the ball. Vance Johnson and Mark Jackson both split wide to the right. much doing then. A gain of perhaps 2 or 3. Pepper Johnson and Johnny Cooks made the stop.
Yeah, this is what makes the Broncos such a different team. You always think of the Broncos as the John Elway team, and he had to do everything for him. And now with this, Humphrey, we can see this whole thing. Everything goes to him. And that's taken a heck of a lot of pressure off Elway.
Well, they now run 65% of the time. And you can see the difference right there in their ranking in the NFL. Elway fakes the draw. Up into the pocket. Gets it out to Clarence Kay. And Kay gets near another Bronco first down. 8-yard pickup, Myron Guyton.
You hear those fans are cheering because Kay had came into this game and he hadn't caught a pass in 3 games. This is the first one in 4 games. He finally caught a pass. Dan Reeves says yesterday that there was no reason. Maybe they've been going to Mobley more, but he said today he thinks Kay is going to catch more balls.
First and 10 Broncos at the Giant 41. Again, they go with 2 tight ends. Flag on the play as Elway fires intended for Mobley. Reason's got a hand on it.
And Mobley was the guy who jumped offside. Last week against the Raiders, he jumped offsides and a touchdown was called back. Mobley said he didn't.
First and 15. That's Mobley on the move. He goes about 260. Elway back about 9 yards deep. A screen to the center to Bobby Humphrey. And the Giants had it read perfectly. Gary Reason on the stop.
Can you see how quickly John Elway released that ball? I mean, he just packs a gun on that right shoulder. I mean, he went back there, and it was just a screen, and the rush, he went, pew! He zipped that thing right under there. This guy is an amazing quarterback. He's fun to watch.
A heck of an athlete.
I think he's one of the few quarterbacks in football that is a weightlifter. He lifts weights during the season.
Twice a week. And he said it's really helped him. That's Mobley again, the move man. They fake the draw play to Humphrey. Elway has all kinds of times. Tries to slide it in the middle. Knocked down by Mark Collins. Intended for Jackson. 0-0 at Mile High Stadium. The Giants in Denver. 8:19 left in the first quarter. We'd like to welcome those of you who watched Detroit. And the Lions coming on strong beat the Bears. And with their 6-8 record, Chicago is eliminated from any chance to getting into the playoffs. 3rd and 13 here at Mile High. Denver has had the ball since the outset. Steve Sewell in the backfield with Elway. Out of bounds. Ricky Nattiel couldn't keep the feet in bounds. Guyton and White.
The ball, you see it coming right there. Now he has possession. Now you have to have possession and both hands in. I mean, both feet in. Looked like that left foot was out. It was the first thing is possession. He got the ball. I guess both feet were out of bounds because the left foot was on the line.
Mike Horan back to punt for Denver, and Dave Meggett back deep for the Giants. Meggett watches it sail out of bounds, and the Giants will take over. First time they've had the ball, as Phil Simms will quarterback, as usual. The last couple of weeks have been very frustrating for him. Up front, the offensive line, makeshift in some ways. Moore moves to left tackle as Elliott was left home. Roberts, Oates, Brian Williams starts at right guard. Otis Anderson and Maurice Carthon, we think, will be the running backs. Manuel and Baker, the wide receivers. Otis had a tough week. But he gets the initial carry. Over the right side, Carl Mecklenburg is number 77. Carricker, Cragen, and Holmes up front in the Denver 3 set. Brooks, Dennison, Mecklenburg, and Simon Fletcher, the linebackers. Braxton and Henderson, the cornerbacks. Atwater and Smith, the safeties. Sometimes they play 7 defensive backs. Second down. Maurice Carthon. Out to the 30. A gain of 11 and a first down. Brooks made the stop. Look familiar on the sideline, John?
There's an old coach out of the past, Bum Phillips. Houston Oilers, New Orleans Saints. Bum's retired now. Of course, his son, Wade Phillips, is a defensive coordinator of these Broncos. There's Wade right there with the sunglasses under all that clothing.
That's Carthon again. And he's out near midfield. Tyrone Braxton finally wrestled into the ground. 19 yards for Carthon. It's unusual to see him with the ball.
Well, and I think we're going to see more and more of Carthon in there today. In fact, Bill Parcells said we're going more back to more basics. We're going to play more two-back, which puts Maurice Carthon in there. We're going to give Carthon the ball. I think maybe they looked at their Super Bowl game against Denver and realized what they were doing then and want to get back to it.
Carthon again to midfield. Dennis Smith stopped him. For an NFL update, that sends you back to those Saints. Here's Sims back in the pocket. Outside to Anderson. O.J. lunges close to another first down. A pickup of 8. Mecklenburg made the stop with Henderson.
See, that's the point that I'm making, that once you can get some running, he runs to Otis Anderson, then he goes to Maurice Carthon. Now that defense has to hang in there. They have to think run. They have to honor the run. Now it's a heck of a lot easier to pass. And Phil Simms will get more and more not having the running game.
Third and about 6 inches. Carthon. Matt Summerall with John Madden. Carthon. Struggle for a yard. Mecklenburg again made the stop. Houston, with that victory, by the way, can win the division outright with victories in their final 2 games. Flag on that last play. And that victory keeps Kansas City alive in the wild card picture. It also assures San Francisco of a spot in the playoffs. Now Green Bay needs to win the final 2 games and have the Vikings lose the final 2 in order for them to win the Central Division. Sims to throw it. Screen pass to Moa. Carthon, beg your pardon. 7-yard pickup. Cregan and Brooks on the stop for the Broncos.
I'll tell you, he had his blockers out there, and they just missed a block out there. I mean, it looked like it could have been a big play here. Watch the screen pass. They go fake. Now they go pass out here. Now watch out here. Brian Williams, number 59, he misses right there. If Williams gets that block, they pick another 5, 6, 7, 8 yards.
Second and 13. Manuel is the move man this time, and Sims is back to throw it. Another screen pass to Carthon. Same play. The ball was down. It came loose after the hit by Dennis Smith. Stephen Baker got it, I believe, before the Giants, before it went out of bounds.
Watch 59, Pat. Brian Williams, he gets the block this time, and that makes a difference in the play. Watch him, see right there, boom! He gets that block, takes him down. Now Carthon can get that 5, 6, 7, 8 yards I'm talking about. Plus he fumbles, Stephen Baker picks it up.
But they said he was down. So it'll bring up a 3rd and 4, 5 perhaps, at the Bronco 35. No score yet. Sims chased out of the pocket by Mecklenburg, and Holmes gets it to Baker. He goes out of bounds. First down. First down, Giants. 0-0 the score. We're in the first quarter. 2:42 left. And we'd like to welcome those of you who saw that upset victory by the Saints over Buffalo, 22-19. We're at Mile High Stadium in Denver. First down, Giants at the Denver 24. Those yard lines are getting more and more difficult to read.
Yeah, this is football when you can't see any yard lines. You're going to have mud and stuff on the guys' jerseys. This is what it's all about.
Anderson up to the outside. Wrapped up by Rick Dennison. Gain of only a yard. It's been a tough week for O.J. He had a groin injury last week against the Eagles. Then on Wednesday he had an operation, hemorrhoid operation. And there was some doubt about whether or not he'd be able to play.
Well, he missed most of the practice during the week. And Bill Parcells said yesterday that he'll be able to start. He doesn't know how long he'll be able to go. So we may see some more Lewis Tillman.
2nd and 10 right now. Roussan is in the position at what is normally called H-back. Anderson barreling straight ahead. Stopped by Brooks. Somebody lost a hat. The man who made the tackle, Brooks.
He has that thing on under there. It's probably so. Probably slid the old hat right off the head. See, that's okay. The only time you worry about that if your head's in it. But once that thing goes flying there, then you just pick it up and put it back on. See, as long as you hit there and your head stays in your shoulders, then you're okay.
This drive, 11 plays, 68 yards. The Giants have kept the ball 6 minutes, 15 seconds. 3rd and 5, and Anderson picked up 5. It'll be close to another first down.
Yeah, this is the Giants that we know and we've seen when they were getting their winning record. And I think even Bill Parcells said maybe the thing that hurt them, they went into San Francisco and opened up a little. Then they opened up a little, and then they got turnovers. And then pretty soon you're trying to figure ways to make it in. You're doing all these things, and you forget your basic, solid, old run offense, run defense.
Lewis Tillman is now the deep back for the Giants. Anderson is out. Tillman gets the call. Hit by Andre Townsend and gets very little, a yard. Well, Bill Parcells was saying when we went to San Francisco, they were going to get some points. And maybe we changed our philosophy. Maybe we had to sort of copy them.
Yeah, and then what happens, he said, maybe that's right and maybe it's wrong because when you do that, you also have more turnovers. And the thing that have killed the Giants is the two things, not being able to run and having turnovers. To score in this end, it was darn near impossible.
Manuel in motion. Sims back to throw it with a lot of time. Gets it to Adams up the middle. He gets to about the 3. Atwater made the stop along with Dennison. Picked up 10 yards.
But you see the protection that Sims is getting? Watch this. This is what he has to have, and I think the running game gave him that. Look at the difference here between that and last week when the Eagles were just collapsing on him. There he went back there, time, and he could find George Adams. That's a name we haven't seen in a while on this Giant team.
And it gives him 1st and goal with the 3. Anderson and Maurice Carthon. Behind Sims, and Anderson gets the call, the carry, and his 11th touchdown of the year.
The drive where the Giants looked like they did the year they went to the Super Bowl. And this looked like the Bronco defense the year they went to the Super Bowl. Just old-fashioned getting on the line and whipping them, running the ball, moving the ball all the way down the field. That was a great drive.
And a good block by Bob Cratch. Helped Anderson get in. Mitmo hits the extra point with Hostetler holding. Anderson's touchdown, a flag on the extra point throughout the day. Ditmo, fine drive fielded by Darren Carrington. And he spins it out to about the 26. Dwayne Giles made the stop. A flag on the play.
Back more confidence, I've always said, than a running game.
Jackson goes in motion. That's Humphrey. Parried. First by Eric Howard. A pickup of 2. That's the final score. Seattle over Cincinnati. And that keeps Seattle's slim chances of a wild card playoff spot alive. Cincinnati is going to have a tough task. Houston has already won. We'll wait to see what happens to Cleveland. 2nd and 8. Elway again to Humphrey. Out of bounds at about the 14. Pickup of 6. Guyton got him out of bounds.
Jim Juriga, the left guard of the Broncos, made a nice block there in the corner. That was a block that sprung Humphrey to the outside. 166, the left guard. See, the back wants to just get out there with him. Now, right there, boom, he just knocks the corner down. Then that gives Humphrey the corner to get around. Boy, you love those guards when they'll get out there and knock down a corner for you.
That brings up 3rd and 2, and the Broncos go with 4 wide receivers. But they give it to Humphrey. Close to a first down. We'd like to welcome those of you who watched Dallas and Philadelphia. And on the kick for Denver, Meggett back deep for the Giants. Good kick. Meggett signaled fair catch at the last second, lost it. A 47-yard punt by Horan. Flag on the play. Another good kick. This one he ought to be able to handle, though. Four hang time on the punt. Kip Corrington down to make the stop. So with 12:28 left to play in the first half here at Mile High Stadium, it's 7-0 Giants. Denver. A lot of Santa Clauses around today. A lot of them with some heavy beards, too, with ice and snow. Score, the only one by the Giants to take a 7-0 lead, was from 3 yards out by Otis Anderson. Giants kept the ball almost 9 minutes in their drive. That's Anderson, and he's dragged down by Brooks. That first drive, the surprise, I guess, of the whole thing would be the yardage by Carthon.
Well, I think the fact that Carthon was in there with Anderson, it was the old Giant offense. 2 backs, a regular fullback who's a blocker, and you hand him the ball once in a while, and a tailback. But the other thing is the Giant offensive line handled the Bronco defense.
Well, here's Carthon again. Brooks made the stop. For the benefit of those of you who just joined us, it snowed all night and has been snowing all day in Denver.
I remember one time, Pat, we came up here when I was first a head coach, and the Oakland Raiders, and George Blanda was my quarterback, and it was snowing like this, and I said, boy, we're not going to be able to pass today. And George Blanda told me, baloney. He said, this is the best weather to pass in because it calms down the pass rush, and the defensive backs have a tough time covering.
Sims back in the shotgun, has Meggett with him. And the Broncos go with 7 defensive backs. Mark Ingram. He's out of bounds at about the 35. Wayman Henderson knocked him out.
I'll tell you, if there's anything that we've seen so far is that the receivers are able to get open. You watch now in the snow, when a field is slippery, the offense has the advantage because they know where they're going. And I think that's a good example of it right here with Mark Ingram. I think the other thing is the pass protection. Watch the time that Phil Simms has. Even gets a good block there by David Meggett, who picks up the safety blitz.
1st and 10 Giants. At the Denver 35. Anderson hit right at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
We talk about the safety blitz. Look at that number 27, Steve Atwater. He's a safety, but he's the size of a defensive tackle. This guy has probably added more to this Bronco defense than anyone. He was their #1 draft choice this year, and I know Dan Reeves thought of all the things that we've done, this is one of the better things we've done, is drafting him because he's not only a good player, but a good leader.
And a great big guy, as you said. Simms is 6 out of 6. Takes to Anderson. I don't see any flags yet.
Dan Reeves is saying the only guy he could have thrown to was his right tackle, Doug Riesenberg. There was no giant receiver in that area.
It was Carricker and Holmes who put the heat on.
Even Santa Claus says, hey, you can't throw to a tackle.
Got some guys excited.
You think the guy's satisfied because he's clinched his division? No way.
Dave Meggett. Back with Simms. Simms is now saying, I can't hear.
He was in the shotgun and he couldn't hear, so then he went up to get under center. And
well, you can see they cleaned off the yard line markers and the sideline. I don't know how long that's going to last.
Well, the interesting thing, Pat, they cleaned up where they're already been, not where they're going. You're going to clean up, you ought to clean up where you're going. All those lines were cleaned behind the Giants.
Maybe they're afraid of the players.
Oh, you got to go out there in the elements. All clean. The only way they're going to go that way is if the Broncos pick off something and run it back that way.
3rd and 10. And protection breaks down. Alfonso Carricker takes Simms to the snowy turf.
Alfonso Carricker comes from the left side here. He's going to be right here. He's working right on that side there, and you'll see again he's working against the rookie Brian Williams. Williams had trouble last week against the Eagles. In fact, that same move Mike Pitts made against him last week. Just that right arm up under.
Landetta to punt from his own 43-yard line. Vance Johnson back deep for Denver. Fair catch. At about the 14 or 15-yard line where the Broncos will take over. 28-yard punt by Landetta. 7-0 Giants, 9:37 left in the first half. Got a little bit better. They expected him to play all day today, but he woke up this morning with back spasms. So he hasn't played at all. Elway on the draw play to Humphrey. Humphrey could be gone. Mark Collins saved the touchdown. A flag on the play, back at the line of scrimmage. And it's got to be against the Broncos.
You're going to get plays like this, but your safety has to make the tackle. Once Terry Kennard misses the tackle, good blocking up front. Now he breaks free. You have to make that tackle there. That was either a good move by Humphrey or it was a pitiful tackle by Kennard. But anyway, it's going to be brought back.
Number 60, offense. First down.
50-yard run brought back. Ball against Gerald Perry.
I'll tell you that Humphrey can pop through a hole. Watch on the left part of the picture here. You see Perry, number 60, holding Leonard Marshall. See him, he has his left arm on there, and he kept it outside his frame. But boy, can that Humphrey pop through a hole.
And he ever, as you were saying yesterday, you can just tell a great back. He may not get all that much yardage, which he did, of course, then, but you can tell how he hits a hole, how he sees the defense. Sammy Winder is replacement. Elway. Incomplete. Myron Guyton made the hit on Ricky Nattiel.
And there's a flag on the play. Ricky Nattiel's going to have that Elway cross on him.
Tell you what, he does fire it, doesn't
That ball was zipped in there. That'll leave a tattoo right on your chest.
Number 29, defense, automatic first down.
What Myron Guyton said was that the ball was tipped. So I don't know what difference that would make. The ball was tipped. Now he said he could go for it. Now watch Guyton. His left hand gets in there. I don't know. Looks like he got there just a little early. That was kind of touchy. I don't know that you have to call.
Humphrey slipped down. It was going to be the old counter gap play, but Humphrey, when he tried to fake, lost his footing, and Elway kept it.
In fact, Bobby Humphrey said that's his favorite play. Here in Denver, they call it OT. T being the tackle, O being the off-guard pulling. And the back has to make that step and then get in there behind the offside. Humphrey went to make it and just fell down, so Elway had to keep the ball.
That makes it 3rd and 12. Broncos have the ball deep in their own territory at their 13-yard line. They go with their 4 wide receiver package. Michael Young is wide to the left. Elway to Nattiel. And it's incomplete as he too slipped over close to the sideline. Sheldon White was the Giant defender.
Ricky Nattiel is just coming on. You know, he had a serious knee injury, had a cracked kneecap. You see there, he was trying to hold up to keep both feet in bounds. It was tough to see the sideline anyway, but as he tried to hold up to keep both feet in bounds, he just slipped right out of bounds.
4th and 12. The footing out in the middle of the field is pretty good. Close to the sideline where the water ran off the tarp. It's tough. Moran's kick fielded by Meggett. Good. Right at the line of scrimmage, the penalty.
Again, he's blocking against Greg Pragan, one of the better nose tackles in the league. See, when he gets beat there, he turns and leg whips him. Now, we see that more and more in this league. You don't see it called that often. But there are 2 ways to block. You can block a guy in front of you. Then if he gets by you, you can whip your leg and you have another shot at him.
That's been illegal for a long, long time. Meggett's in the backfield with Sim. Chased by Holmes and down by Holmes. Of 12.
I'll tell you, Ron Holmes comes through here like he is shot. He has 7 sacks coming into this game in 7 games. It looks like William Roberts works to the outside and no one blocks Holmes. Holmes lined up over Roberts. Roberts slid out and Holmes went whack right up the hole with no one blocking him.
Face of Lawrence Taylor. All he can do is watch. They try to run a screen pass to Meggett. He juggled it and finally caught it. And he's still going. Meggett could be gone. On 3rd and 31. Touchdown and no flags anywhere. 57 yards by Meggett.
I'll tell you, there was a heck of a block by William Roberts out there.
The point, and it's good. 14-0. The Giants lead the Broncos. Here it is.
Roberts blocked out, let Holmes come by. Then Roberts was the guy who made the block on Meggett's screen.
I guess that gets him even. Nitmo has cleared a track so he can kick off.
Looks like he cleared an X out there. Maybe it's going to go the other way, too.
The kick is going to go to Ken Bell. Bell down at about the 23 by Greg Jackson. 14-0 Giants in snowy Denver. John Elway will lead his offensive unit back on the field. Dan Reeves. The crowd had just started to get into the game when the Giants sprung that big screen pass play. They were just starting to really get enthusiastic. 7:02 left in the first half. First down, Denver, their own 23. Elway. Vance Johnson. Got past Mark Collins. 42-yard pickup.
Watch Vance Johnson on the outside. Collins is going to be up there to bump him. And then he's going to ride him, and the safety's going to get over. Now the safety gets turned around. That's Kennard. He gets turned around, and then Vance Johnson gets behind, and it's a perfect throw by John Elway.
First and 10. At the Giant 35. Mosley was the move man. They give it to Humphrey. And there's nothing there. Leonard Marshall. Two-yard gain for Humphrey.
Big Leonard Marshall. These are the kind of games a guy like Marshall likes. You're out there, they have to run at you. They're coming there, you got the snow, you don't wear a shirt underneath, you got the bare arms hanging out there, showing those guys your guns and stuff. They like these kind of games. Linemen do. The guys that don't like them, the skinny little old guys, they just about fall apart. Big old guys, they like this kind of weather.
Second and 9. Just barely does get rid of it. And now the Giants, of course, are saying he intentionally grounded. They might say he was in the grasp.
Watch Leonard Marshall here on Gerald Perry. Number 60 here. Does a nice job. He gets in, gets his hand, gets that one, then he just starts pushing him right back into Elway. Then he makes a dive at Elway right there. Now he had him in the grasp just as he was getting ready to throw it. Big Leonard, he came alive there. He made the tackle on the run, then he makes a big pass rush.
Leonard's having a tremendous year. They go with 3 down linemen at Elway. To Vance Johnson. Stopped by Collins.
You see John Elway just get back there and zip that thing into Vance Johnson.
12-yard pickup. 4th and about 5. And it looks like they're going to go for it. Ball's at the 30-yard line.
He's going to have to go back and zip another one in there because they're not in running range for a first down.
Steve Sewell was back there with Elway. Starts Young in motion and now sends him back where he came from. Intended for Mark Jackson. That's just too hard.
See, one thing John Elway was saying yesterday that he likes about this new defense is that they're always in the game, that they don't have to play from behind. And the thing that the Giants have done so far is play excellent defense, not giving any plays, but put 14 points on the board.
And that's the score. They lead by 14.
But if the ball is dry, then the weather doesn't bother you.
Not much there for Otis Anderson. That's what Elway was saying to us yesterday. That the toughest weather conditions was not this, not the snow on the field and coming down. It was rain.
Yeah, when the ball gets wet, when you can't handle the ball the way you normally do. Dan Reeves was probably thinking yesterday, after practice, he went out and played golf. He played 9 holes with Bum Phillips. I don't think he thought he was going to see this kind of weather or this kind of score a day later.
Not much golf on a day like this. Anderson again. Hit hard by Cregan and Alfonso Carricker.
That's the way a nose tackle has to squeeze a one, the way Greg Cregan does. See, he's going to come hit down the line, Carricker, boom, here, and squeeze the run right between those two guys. Watch Cregan hit into Oates, come around behind right down the line. Now there's no cutback. He starts to cut back. Boom, there's Cregan. Boom, there's Carricker.
3rd and 8. Giant ball at their own 32. Draw play to make it. Not enough for the first down. Play we've seen them run for years. 8-yard gain stopped by Atwater.
You're talking about Meggett. Dan Reeves was saying he had David Meggett in the Senior Bowl. Coached him. Meggett was the MVP in the Super Bowl. Reeves wanted to draft him, but the Giants got him first.
This is a timeout, Giants, with 2:40 left to play in the first half. Giants will punt. That was a Denver timeout, not a Giant timeout. So now they have 2 remaining. And 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Vance Johnson is back deep. Sean Landeta back to punt for the Giants. A short snap to Gary Reasons. A pickup of 3, and that's enough for the first down.
I tell you, Bill Parcells has thrown it out. That was an organized fake punt. In fact, they have a word for that. I don't know if that's Bummerooski or what one that is, but watch. Landeta, the punter, he jumps like he's got the ball, but the ball's just snapped directly to Gary Reasons. The nose tackle takes off to the left. He gets a good block there, and Reasons just runs it straight up the middle. Look at that. When you get an old linebacker and he gets a first down like that, I'll guarantee you that'll put more smiles on his face than any tackles or interceptions. There's Bum Phillips. He used to have a play called Bummerooski.
There's Sims going to work. Intended for Roussan. Who dropped it and was hammered.
That was great coverage by Mecklenburg. You see a big guy right there. You see the ball is already out. The ball is already knocked down. And Dennis Smith comes across and hits Roussan. But the guy there, 77, made a heck of a play, Carl Mecklenburg.
So the Giants will take over now at the Denver 44. Carthon and Roussan are the 2 running backs. Maurice Carthon near a Giant first down, stopped again by Mecklenburg. A gain of 9.
See, this is Phil Simms' kind of game. 1, you got the lead. You're not playing uphill. 2, you got some running going. So therefore, 3, you can do what he just did on that play. Throw on first down with a play fake.
And unlike what happened against Philadelphia last week, he has now some timeouts to work with. 2nd and 1. Carthon will have the first down. Ron Holmes stopped Carthon after he picked up 3.
The other thing Maurice Carthon puts in a team, it's not, he's not going to gain a lot of yardage, catch a lot of passes, but he brings another tough guy in your lineup. He brings another guy who will knock someone down in there for you. And, that doesn't always show up in statistics.
In the great Joe Morris years, Carthon was largely responsible. Roussan in motion. Russan, he was open. Maybe that hit a moment ago on Smith when he got the penalty was still in Russan's mind.
I'll tell you, Sims was lucky he got that one away. You see Michael Brooks comes from his left side. O.J. Anderson misses him. And Sims throws a perfect pass to Lee Russan. And right between the twos, and it just goes right through him. We do have elements out there, but when a pass is thrown like that, you have to catch it.
2nd and 10 from the 32. The Bronco 32. Hawthorne, ball play, stopped by Holmes behind the line of scrimmage. Loss of 3.
The Broncos got Ron Holmes in a trade from Tampa Bay. Dan Reeves said he has problems down there and said he really didn't like playing it, but he's happy here in Denver, and he sure plays like a different guy.
It's a Giant timeout with 31 seconds remaining in the first half.
Here's Roberts. Now what happened is you're going to see Roberts extends. You see, he gets his nose up over his toes. When you get your nose up over your toes, you get your head down, and you have no chance. You see, when he extends, boom, now Holmes is right by him. Now when he tries to come back, it's too late, and he has to knock Holmes right into Carthon. But that's what you call overextension by an offensive lineman.
3rd and 13 at the Bronco 35. 31 seconds remaining first half. Oates calls Sims up under center. Couldn't hear him. Pick up a 5 by Phil.
I think the Giants are going to wait.
Make it 47. Hostetler gave it a little spin. It had the distance but didn't get there. That's the end of the first half with the score. The Giants 14. Broncos nothing. Ingram makes a nice stop. And he is slung out of bounds at about the 21-yard line by Darren Carrington.
You know, you can look at the type of passes that you throw in this kind of weather. Sims did not throw a pass over 15 yards. See, look, to the left, he was 4 for 4, 2 for 5 in the middle, 2 for 2 to the right. So to the outsides, he's been perfect, 6 for 6 when throwing outside, under 15 yards.
1st and 10 at the 25, the same 2 that started. Will begin the second half. Anderson and Carthon. Maurice Carthon straight ahead. Got just 3. 14-0, Giants leading. The Eagles have already won. They need this one to stay even. Denver needs a win to clinch the home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
And I think the other thing Denver needs a win for is just to turn things around. They had a tough loss last week to the Raiders, and they want to get back on that plus now.
2nd and 7. Outside to Zeke Moat. Close to a first down. Should be. 8-yard pickup.
Lots of blocking here in the nose tackle. This is the thing you have to do. That's Bart Oates. He's blocking against Craig, and you start off, and he has help on his right side. So he takes away the left hard. Then Brian Williams steps down, so they give him no place to go. When you have help from your right side, you step quickly to your left side. And then the 2 of you form a wall against the nose tackle and pin him right on the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10 Giants, their own 37. Russan is in the backfield with Carthon. Batted down. Greg Cragen got the hand up to knock it away.
Well, they got Cragen. They double-teamed him on the play before. This time Oates is just going to take him. Here, boom, he comes straight up the middle and knocks the ball down. Well, before we saw a double team on a pass. This time Oates has him single. So he takes him, push, makes the move right there and knocks the ball down with his right arm. That looked like the type of thing that was happening to Phil Simms and the Giants last week against the Eagles.
2nd and 10, 37. Simms to Anderson over the left side. A gain of 5, stopped by Alfonso Carragher.
You know, Greg Cragen is getting to be one of the better nose tackles in this league. He's one of those guys who plays the run. Again, like right now, you know, if it gets to be a passing situation, boom, they'll run him out of there. But he was a free agent type of guy who kind of made himself. I mean, he's kind of a self-made man, nose tackle. See, he straightens the center up, just doesn't allow any movement in there.
Megan's in the backfield. 3rd and 5. Giants at their own 42. Simms is hit just as he let the ball go. Intended for Manuel, incomplete. Pressure from Holmes and Mecklenburg.
I think the Broncos have realized one thing, that they have to get pressure on Simms, and they're going to have to blitz him more than they did in the first half.
Dennis Smith, the Broncos safety man, was shaken up on the last play.
Dennis Smith missed last week's game against the Raiders with a groin injury. They thought that if they held him out the whole week that he would be fine the rest of the season. Dennis Smith is a Pro Bowl type safety, one of the good safeties in the league, one of the tough guys. And you know, at one time John Robinson was coaching at SC. He had Dennis Smith, Joey Browner, and Ronnie Lott in his secondary.
Wow.
That'd make a good coach out of anyone.
Landetta will punt to Ricky Nattiel this time, standing at his own 17. Out of bounds at about the 30. Maybe not that quite not that far. 13-15 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Only a 24-yard punt. And the Broncos will take over at about their 34-yard line. Got it to Clarence Cave. Reasons made the stop, a pickup of perhaps 10. Now they move it back to where it's about 9.5.
Yeah, if you look at what Elway has done so far, the distance from 3 out of 4 under 10, 1 out of 5 between 10 and 20 yards. And then he had 1 for 1 over 40 yards. So again, under 10, he's been pretty successful, having trouble with that medium range throw.
2nd and 1. Here's Humphrey. There's a pretty good move. When he dipped into the hole, that just shows you why he's such a good back.
Yeah, that's what some of the backs say, that any back can get to the hole. It's what you do once you get in the hole. Again, this is that counter thing. Now, as you say, watch the moves he makes there. He makes 1 or 2 moves there to pop around that thing, make guys miss, then another one, and finally Mark Collins gets him. But those feet are going all ways all the time, aren't they?
Really. 1st and 10, Denver at midfield. Elway will throw it. If he has time, flag on the play. Elway dumps it over to Vance Johnson. But there's a penalty marker down back at the line of scrimmage. It's got to be holding. 7 times for 52 yards for Denver. Sewell back there with Elway, who will put it up again. He gets it to Michael Young. A good throw. 12-yard gain. Got some of it back.
Mark Collins was out there. Watch 25. Collins jumps, and the ball is over his head and right into Young's hands. I'll tell you, when this guy throws them, they sure look pretty.
Don't they, though? Second down for the Broncos. The ball's at the Giant 48. They need 8. Bobby Humphrey. Stopped by Pepper Johnson after a 4-yard pickup.
Yeah, now this is an area 3rd and 4 or 5 where John Elway really likes to mess with the snap count and draw the defense outside. Then he can get a free play and then go deep. And he is the best at it. I mean, this guy is a master at this situation. Just through voice inflection, trying to draw the defense offside and get a free play.
Jackson. He got the first down. He had more yards than he wound up with. He still got 19. Leonard Marshall down to make the stop.
Showed that Mark Jackson was going sideways too long because he let the defensive line get there. But Bill Parcells says this is when Elway's most dangerous. Drop back to about 9 yards, then step up to about 5 and drill it. He said when he does that, it's almost impossible to cover.
Elway to Humphrey, hit behind the line of scrimmage by Reason. And Washington, the ball came loose, but it was too late. A loss of 1.
Gary Reasons is the guy that tipped that ball in the first half and took away a pass interference call. He's a real solid player. You know, I mean, he's always there, good against the run, plays that zone defense, smart guy, smart player. I saw him in the locker room last week in New York, had his kid there. His kid's wearing number 55. Going to be a linebacker just like that.
2nd and 11. Elway's got a man. He had a touchdown. Vance Johnson was open. He had beaten Mark Collins.
Yeah, he really did. He was behind Collins by 5 steps, and Elway got the ball there. Again, these are tough things. Watch Collins up there, playing him in tight coverage, gets a pretty good bump, then he slips. Now, Vance Johnson has him by 5 yards. Collins catches up a little. Johnson had to wait a little. I was thinking if he just put a little more on that. I mean, Vance Johnson should have had it anyway.
Oh, yeah. 3rd and 11. Ball at the Giant 26. They're blitzing. Incomplete. A flag on the play. Downfield to block for a screen, but there was nobody to screen to.
And they're so big they can't hide when they get down there.
Incomplete, knocked away by Mike Collins. And a flag on the play.
And I think that could be another penalty against Gerald Perry. But wait until the fans hear it's on number 60, Gerald Perry, if it is. Gerald Perry's really had his tough times. He was in court all last week.
Illegal use of the body, a tripping foul on number 60 offense. Decline.
This has been a long day for number 60, Gerald Perry. That's his 3rd big penalty. Watch him right there. They say he illegally used his body. And I think that's right there, that left leg, when you bring it up like that, I think they call that leg whipping. You get leg whipped like that, that'll bend you over.
They refuse the penalty, and Moran is back to punt. Aiming for the sideline, and doesn't do it very well. That almost went into the stand. That winds up being an 18 13-yard punt. And so the Giants will take over. They lead 14-0. 9:40 left in the third quarter. At Summerall here with John Madden. Hand off to Otis Anderson. Picked up 2.
The other thing that's been impressive about this game, Pat, in this kind of weather is that there hasn't been a turnover yet.
Right.
Remember in the Super Bowl when these two teams played, there was only 1 turnover. I think when the Giants are trying to get back on track, they felt they had to be able to do 2 things. 1, run the ball, and 2, eliminate turnovers.
2nd and 7. Sims intended for Moat off his fingers.
I think if there's any injury that has hurt the Giants this year, it's been Mark Guevara. And not because Zeke Moat just dropped that last one, but I think that's affected their running game. I think it's affected their receiving, their throwing to the tight end. I think it's made the job of quarterback a little tougher. If there's any guy that you could ill afford to lose in this offense, it was Guevara.
3rd and 7. Giants are at their own 21. Sims taken down by Carricker. He was chased out of the pocket. He managed to pick up a yard, but not enough. Sims looks like he's shaking a bit.
I know, it looked like his hand or maybe something got in his eye. I don't think he knew it was 4th down coming up. Got a straight arm there. When he gets hit there, you have no idea what happens in those piles.
Ricky Nattiel back to return Landetta's punt. Can't run it down. And it does stay in bounds at about the 27-yard line. 49 yards that time by Landetta. Well, the Broncos have it now with 8:12 left in the third quarter. Giants up 14-0. Defense was tough on Green Bay. Detroit eliminated Chicago from the playoff picture. Houston 20-17 over Tampa Bay. And here we go. 1st and 10 Broncos at their own 28. Humphrey almost lost the handle, but then got it back. Banks knocked him down. Seattle beat Cincinnati. Pittsburgh over the Jets. Shutout. New Orleans beat Buffalo. Washington came back to beat San Diego 26-21. 2nd and 4. Dan Reeves. Done an outstanding job since he came here. Looking at Mark Jackson, who slipped down right on the sideline again.
I tell you, this Giant defense gets in that soft zone, you know, that 2-deep zone, and they play that better than anyone in football. And I think that if you get behind it, it's really tough. I mean, if you just look at how they play, just let it roll here, and you'll see. Woo!
Bought enough time, got it to Vance Johnson. Sheldon White. A pickup of 19, and the Broncos move into Giant territory. 7:19 left to play in the third quarter. There's a 1st and 10 from the Giants 47. Elway. That one was on the hop to Vance Johnson. Leonard Marshall got the push.
And then he was worried that he was going to get a penalty. Watch big Leonard, number 7. He does a spinner in there. Comes out of the spinner straight up. Now, after he hits Elway, then after you do that, then you put your hands up in the air. Now, when you put your hands up in the air, that means you didn't do anything.
Or at least you didn't mean to. Second and 10. Lawrence Kay.
You know, it's interesting that the Giants are now putting pressure on Elway, and the Broncos are having to go back to the team that they were a couple years ago, where they're just a passing team. And the thing that does that is the way the Giants have played offense. Now Elway has to back. Now the Giants can take off. Now they can pressure them, and they can play Bill Parcells' type of game.
Leonard Marshall, by the way, has 4 tackles, 1 assist, and 1 sack. As the Giants will put the pressure on this time with just 2 linemen and 2 linebackers. The pressure is there from Eric Howard, who misses. Elway. Toe dance down the sideline to get a first down, a pickup of 11. Very difficult to see if you're inbounds or out.
Well, it is, but still, this is a heck of an athlete going down the sideline. First of all, he outruns Eric Howard. Then he finds there's nothing there. Then he's going to start down the sidelines, tiptoeing. Now, you can't see the sideline, so you don't know if he's on it or not. But he knows where the first down marker is. And he goes out just after he picks up the first.
First down at the Giant 36 for Denver. Incomplete, intended for Vance Johnson.
Well, you know the thing about that sideline, Pat, is defensive players have been taught all their life you play the whistle. So it's not that you play the sidelines, you play first downs, you play markers, you play nothing. You play the ball, and then you play the whistle.
Second and 10. They're at the Giants 36. The Broncos trailing 14-0. Draw play. I think that's Sammy Winder. Stopped by Myron Guyton. Was Winder.
That is the toughest thing to do in this kind of field is to make cuts. You know, I think that you can run, but when you try and plant your foot, you see he plants right there, and as he tries to twist over and cut back, that right foot just slid out from under him. And Sammy Winder's an 8-year veteran. This isn't the first time he's done it.
Third and 10. Jackson in motion. Finally caught. Michael Young juggled it a couple of times and got it just before it hit the ground. Williams and Guyton on the stop.
But they have a double team. They got 2 guys out there. Michael Young goes up for the ball. It comes out there. Then he goes for it again. It goes out again. And then on the 3rd time, he's going to dive and make the catch. That was a heck of an effort.
First and 10, Denver. They're on the Giant 23. The handoff is to Humphrey. Reasons up to make the stop. Elway has scattered it around pretty well.
Well, you can see that he's thrown 6 to his wide receivers, 4 to the running backs, 3 to the tight end. 6 to the wide receivers, 2 to the tight end.
Second and 7 at the 20. This is as deep as Denver has been in Giant territory today. Humphrey is the lone setback. Elway got away from one man, got away from another one, and is hammered by Reason. Really popped by Gary Reason.
Hey, John Elway in the last 3 plays has made 2 of the greatest moves that I've seen, and Gary Reason's on the last 2 plays have made 2 of the hardest hits that I've seen all year. But watch Elway on this play. I mean, he brings the ball down, pop, spins, he's going to go, he's looking, avoiding the tackle there, just comes out of a spin, and watch Gary Reason's unload on him. Whew.
That's Gerald Perry who's down. It has been a tough day for him. 14-0 Giants.
That's what happened to him here, Pat. We'll see that he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit by Johnny Cooks as we go up here. And there he is right there. Now we can stop it here. We can see here's Cooks. He gets blocked right into Gerald Perry there. See, and that just takes out that knee.
3rd and 3. The handoff is to Winder. And he's down inside the 10. Mark Collins made the stop. First and 10 at the 10. And from the way the yard line markers are, you can't really tell. It looks as if they can't make a first down without making a touchdown. Elway to Humphrey. To about the 2. Stopped again by Collins. And Perry Williams.
Hey, the Broncos have gotten themselves back in this. They're starting to get control on the line. They're starting to get angles. They're making holes, and they're making areas that the running back can get through. They're giving Elway some protection, and then John Elway himself is making big plays.
2nd and goal at the 2. Humphrey and Breton behind Elway. Breton didn't quite get there.
I'm sure what the Giants are thinking of now, Pat, as they bring up 3rd down here. Here's Bill Belichick, who's the defensive coordinator of the Giants. They're thinking of that great goal line stand they had last week against the Eagles. And this is a thing that you have to do. You have to get penetration. You have to get lower than they get. You have to give them no place to go underneath and no place to jump.
Eric Howard took care of the underneath. Good penetration. Humphrey is the deep back in the eye. He didn't make it. Steve Diassi, who made a big stop last week, just made another one.
Now this is football down here. You get down here in the trenches, guys knocking around, bodies flying around. I tell you, the Giants are not going to be denied here. Steve Diassi was the guy who made that play. Last week, he was the guy who made the big play against the Eagles, number 99.
Elway asking for quiet. Don't forget he can roll out and likes to. Humphrey. No. Reason. Like a shot.
That is great football. Gary Reasons on that drive made 3 of the best hits I've ever seen him make in his life. I've ever seen anyone make, and this is the best of the 3 best.
Wow.
Look at the determination. He reads run the whole way. He reads Humphrey the whole way. He takes off for the jump before Humphrey takes off for his jump. That is football.
So the Giants will operate from their own end zone. Hawthorne try to get outside, wrapped up by Simon Fletcher. The word on Gerald Perry is that he has a bruised knee and will return.
You know, the first thing that the Giants are thinking here is get the ball out beyond the 5-yard line to give the punter their full distance. He has 6 tackles, but 3 of them were awfully hard hits.
1 on Elway and 1 on Humphrey particularly.
Right, and when you lose a player like the Giants have lost Lawrence Taylor, guys like Gary Reasons have to pick up the slack.
2nd and 10, Giants at their own 2. Not much there. Steve Atwater up to stop Maurice Carthon.
What the Broncos like about having big safeties is you have Steve Atwater. They can put him up on the line of scrimmage like this. They put their safety, and he's as big as a linebacker. And then he gives you that quick force and support with a big body.
Brings up 3rd and 7 for the Giants at their own 5. 20 seconds left to play in the 3rd quarter. Now less. Sims fakes. Out of the end zone, chased by Carricker and down by Carricker. Almost a safety. A loss of 4.
That was a big loss because now the Broncos can come with a punt block. See here now the punter would have had 15 yards. When you lose this yardage here, see, he couldn't throw there. He had to bring it back. Then when he had to bring it back, he didn't have enough pass protection for that.
Carricker and Fletcher, that's the end of the 3rd quarter. With the score, the Giants 14, Denver nothing. Sean Landeta will have to stand or hope to stand inside the back end zone line, which is going to be hard to tell.
And the Broncos aren't going to come on a punt return. They have 2 safeties deep so that they can be sure and catch the ball.
That's Johnson and Nikhil back deep. Landeta right on the end line. They'll have to hurry. Not bad. Nikhil. Skips down to about the 32-yard line. Lee Roussan knocked him out of bounds. Smart move by the Broncos once they decided not to try to block it, to put 2 guys back there.
I think that's the thing you either have to do. You either have to go after it because he's going to have a short snap and try and block it, or put 2 guys back there and make sure that you catch it. You know, the thing that Dan Reeves was saying was interesting yesterday, Pat, when he was saying that one of the problems that we had last week against the Raiders, is not moving the ball as much as when we get in position, not scoring with it.
No way to throw it. Banks on a blitz. Almost had him. Chased by Washington. And Elway just had to throw it away. In all fairness, he hasn't had much time today. Good pressure.
Carl Banks was in his backfield. You see it. Carl Banks took a swoop at him, kind of like he did, remember that Randall Cunningham thing. He just wrapped both arms around him. Watch Carl Banks, 58, and all he comes up with is some air and some snow, I think. Look, Elway just steps right out of that. Carl Banks isn't going to like that one being another guy's highlights.
2nd down. And 10 from the Giants, 32. Humphrey went in motion. Elway wheeled it to Clarence Kay, but nothing was there. He was hit by Reasons, or butted heads with Reasons.
Reasons has been butting heads with everyone out there today. He's like a man possessed. He's come out there. He said, let's go up to Denver Mile High Stadium and play some ball.
The Giants lead it 14-0. 3rd and 10 from the Giant 32. Touchdown. Michael Young.
You give John Elway shots at you, he's going to get his share of them. Watch here, it's a zone defense. Just get by the zone. And you see Kennard, he comes up, sneak in behind him, and there's no one around Michael Young. But the other thing, the pass rush is tired. No one was pressuring Elway.
Extra point by Treadwell is good. That's 14-7 with a lot of time left.
Look at the time Elway had.
14:29 left to be exact.
But then the other thing you think of, Pat, is this altitude.
Altitude, right.
Okay, Elway's the type of guy, as he has that gun, he keeps taking shots.
The kickoff handle and then mishandled by Mark Ingram. Jim Lucas was down to make the stop. 3 plays, 32 yards in 21 seconds to get the Broncos on the board.
And this is where, when you talk about your running game, that you have to be able to run, this is where you need your running game. For the Giants, they need it on this drive. Now you talk about defense. If we talk about your run defense, this is where you have to stop the run.
Mumford on the tackle.
Yeah, these fans here in Denver are great fans. They understand their defense. Remember, years they had that orange crush and that defense, and they knew how to root for defense. So they know this situation, this is where their run defense has to do it.
Second and six. Second and 6. Giants ball at their own 16. To Baker. Lyman Henderson took him out of bounds.
Tell you, Phil Simms did what he had to do. Get in split backs, get some protection, looks out there, finds his receiver, throws it just as he is being hit to Stephen Baker. Now watch him. Now his right side is his backside. He is throwing turned away, and he still has to step into it.
First down, Giants at their own 28. That's Anderson. Fumble. He got 2 yards, but there was a fumble. They still haven't decided who has it. Mecklenburg comes out saying we got it, but it's not settled yet.
Referee Jerry Markbright is down at the bottom of that pile trying to figure out who has it.
Jerry's down in there with him.
Yeah, he's at the bottom there. Pat came on a wham block. He's the guy who comes in motion. Watch 22. He's going to block on the nose tackle, Cragen. So Cragen makes a heck of a play. When the ball pops out, Broussard was there. And I think it was Broussard, number 22, who ended up with it. Good play by Cragen. He gets over that block. I think he's the guy that knocked the ball out. But see, because Broussard was in there to block it, I think he was the guy who ended up with it.
Second and 8. Outside to Carthon. A couple of yards short of the first down. Mumford and Randy Robbins made the stop for Denver. 6-yard pickup. Big down coming.
Hey, Phil Simms looks like a different quarterback in this game than he did a week ago. I think part of that, again, is because they've been able to run. I think the pass protection, like George Blanda told me many, many years ago, the best weather to throw in is snow because you don't get the big pass rush.
I think the wind might be a factor, too. There's not a lot of wind, and there certainly was last week. for Baker, and here comes Landeta.
Well, that defense of the Broncos that had improved this year so vastly started and played like it on that last drive. In the first half, looked like the Giants were getting to him pretty well.
Again, they put two safety men back. Johnson and Natil. Will be Natil. No place to go. He is hammered by the Giant coverage team. Renee Thompson, the first. 14-7. 12:05 left to play. Back to throw from his own 31. Chased by Banks. Gets it out to Breton. Not much. A gain of 1. The AFC again. Buffalo 8-6. Houston improves to 9-5. Denver's 10-3. They have clinched the division title. They're playing for the home field advantage. The wild card scramble in the AFC is still very complicated. All those teams still with a chance.
Well, you know, at the beginning of the day, they put those things in computers, and like in the AFC, there were like 642 different combinations.
Lawrence Taylor at the bottom of your picture. Elway, pass almost intercepted by Perry Williams. Leonard Marshall might have deflected it.
Well, Lawrence Taylor is playing now with a back spasm and a broken ankle. I bet you just knowing him that when they scored, he wanted to shut him out. And then he said, to heck with it. I want to get in there. I want to play. Let's get in here and win this game.
Now it's Marshall that got his hand on it. 3rd and 9. Elway made a one-handed grab. Natil had the first down and cut back. He had it and lost it.
This is a situation that is going to be interesting. I'm sure Dan Reeves has to go for it, but he has to remember he got down on the goal line and couldn't do it. And I would bet that he doesn't use the same type of plays he used on the goal line. Because I would think that for that goal line, of course, you can always remember the Giants went on a fake punt.
Meggett signals fair catch. Makes it. Got down in a hurry. So we have 11:05 left to play. The Giants leading 14-7. Stadium has really been given a dusting today. Snowed all night, and it's continued all day. Anderson, the lone setback, 1st and 10. Giants at their own 21. Anderson to about the 25, a pickup of 3. Michael Brooks made the stop.
You look at this, and it shows the defense that the Broncos have played in the second half because the Giants haven't been able to get anything going. 5 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, and 5 plays. So in the first half, they had a couple of great drives. In the second half, they really haven't had any drives.
2nd and 7 from the 25. And threw it away.
Lawrence Taylor, you can just see in his eyes that, I mean, you can see snow in his eyes now, but you know that he knows what championship football is. And he knows when you get this close to it, you can't let it get away. They felt they let it get away last week against the Eagles. They got a lead here. They have to feel they can't let this one get away.
3rd and 7. Giants at their own 25. Meggett is in the backfield with Sims. A rush by Holmes. Sims got the first down. Atwater had a shot at him and missed him.
Atwater was standing there. Sims just gave him air, and Atwater just sat there and pounded on the ground. He's a #1 draft choice. That was what he was drafted for, because he's a good tackler to make tackle. Then on 3rd down, when that quarterback runs, you can't miss that tackle. That was a big play for the Giants.
That play, John, puts the Giants over 100 yards rushing, which we talked about at the beginning.
That's what they have to do to play Giant football.
Tillman is the deep back. No gain. Brooks made a stop.
We were talking to Dan Reeves yesterday, and he said that Michael Brooks gives you pass rush, but the other thing he said he does is he really plays the end run well. Now watch him play that. Of course, there wasn't much of a block. Maurice Carthon was on the line of scrimmage trying to block him. And you really have to hold that thing until the guy gets there.
2nd and 10 at the 36. The Giants 36. You can't tell which way they're going, really, or where they are. Carthon hit almost as soon as he caught the ball. Dennis Smith was the first one there. Pickup of 3.
I don't remember doing many games like this, Pat, but I love them. I love this. You know, I mean, just provide. There's no dome stadium here. There's no artificial turf. There's none of that stuff. It's just man against the elements and against the other team too.
The blessing is there's not much wind. 3rd and 7. Meggett. And they have another first down, and they keep the football.
They can get on Phil Sims, but I'll tell you, he is a tough guy, and he has made a couple of big plays on this drive.
9 yards on that one.
The first 3rd down, remember, he ran. He picked up a first down. Here it's 3rd down. He finds Meggett in there and zips the ball to him. Of course, 2 things. One, they've been able to run for over 100 yards, and this right here, pass protection. Letting them have a little time, letting them step up.
1st and 10 at the 49. Anderson to his right for about 3. Rick Dennison made the stop.
You can see it in that Bronco defense in their eyes there that they had him backed up. They had him in those 3rd downs, and they let it get away. And you can just feel that when you're down by 7, that's okay. But when that time is getting close to just 6 minutes left, that puts another element of pressure on you.
2nd and 7 at the Denver 48. 6:38 left. Anderson slid for 2, maybe.
I think O.J. Anderson was running in there in that 2nd down play with one thought in mind: don't fumble. He was protecting that ball, and he wasn't going to let that one pop out of there. You know who's done a heck of a job? We just saw a picture of him there. Is Eric Moore, number 60. Was sick last week and didn't play, and then when Jumbo Elliott couldn't play, he had to move out to left tackle. Done a good job of blocking, pass protecting, and run blocking.
3rd and 6. Meggett was the intended receiver. Can't hold on. He was being shadowed by Atwater.
Sims made his part of it. He felt that they lost containment. He got outside to his left. He had to decide whether to run or pass. Meggett was open. He just didn't catch it. But that was still a good drive for the Giants, because they got the ball to midfield, took a lot of time off the clock, and the Broncos are going to be backed up.
And again, they have two safety men, Natil and Vance Johnson back. Natil signals fair catch, and the ball bounds into the end zone. They'll start from their 20. 47-yard punt by Landeta. The Giants got 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. 3 yards from Anderson, 57 yards from Meggett. If you look at the rest of the scores from today around the league, Minnesota's starting to play better.
Kansas City's playing a lot better.
Detroit is. Too late. Houston hung on against Tampa Bay. Seattle upset Cincinnati. It's 14-7 Giants over the Broncos here. Elway. Vance Johnson out of bounds to stop the clock in front of Perry Williams. Pittsburgh shut out the Jets. New Orleans beat Buffalo. New Orleans, in spite of that, eliminated.
You know, these guys are out here on the field, Pat, now staying in front of the teams and knocking these lines back. So at least on this drive, they're out there cleaning the lines off in front of them. Now, how can you sweat the snow like that? I mean, you're into the game.
1st and 10 at the 30. Broncos. Elway for Johnson. Nope. Mark Jackson, sorry. Mark Collins on the coverage, and good coverage. Let's go back for an NFL update. 2nd and 10, Denver at their own 30. Vance Johnson. Stopped by Pepper Johnson, a yard short of the first down.
Well, John Elway has taken over this game. You know, that Bill Parcells was saying, other than the shotgun, Elway doesn't drop back anymore. He waggles and rolls and bootlegs and runs. That was his 14th straight drop back. So I think that when they were ahead, that was the way they played. Now, John Elway has to take over this game and win it for the Broncos.
Well, they need a yard for a first down at their own 39. Jackson was the man in motion. Elway back to throw it. Up the middle, complete. To Vance Johnson again. They'll move the sticks to the 45.
That's what I said. You know, they got down there in the goal line. They tried to do it with their running game. They didn't get in. And from now on, down 14-7, this is going to be John Elway's game.
It almost has to be.
Right. You get 3rd and short. They aren't going to run and try and pick up. They're going to let him go back and throw it.
They got to start looking at that clock now. Less than 4 minutes. They need to make something happen in a hurry. Clarence Kay was open, and Elway got a shot to him. Harry Williams brought him down after a pickup of 13.
You know, this is the time to throw it, too, because, like I said, late in the game, in Mile High Stadium, the visiting team always gets more tired. And it's, you know, it's part of chasing Elway all day, and the other part is the altitude.
3:20 left to play. 14-7 Giants. Mobley moves on the left. Elway swings it out to Humphrey. Humphrey gets a first down with his ability. Knocked out of bounds by Collins, but a gain of 13.
You see those pass rushes, Pat? They can hardly get off the line of scrimmage. That's the thing, and you give a quarterback like John Elway time, he'll kill you.
I'll tell you something, John. I was down on the field before the game. We were up pretty high in the press box. When I walked up to the steps, not that I'm in this kind of shape, I could tell it.
Oh, yeah, you can tell it. That's why they call it Mile High Stadium. They remind you of it all the time. They don't call it like Denver Stadium or Broncos Stadium. It's Mile High.
Elway to the outside over Bratton's head.
That was great coverage that time by the Giants. Elway was trying to go in the middle and deep. He couldn't find anything, and Bratton was like his third receiver on that one.
While we have a moment, the coordinating producer of the NFL. Second down. Elway to Humphrey. First down. Myron Guyton knocked him out of bounds. Pickup of 11. And the Broncos move closer. And so does the clock move closer to the end of the game. 2:35 left. Both teams with all 3 timeouts remaining.
And Mile High Stadium is rocking.
Hand off to Bratton. Picked up 3. Down to the 15. Pepper Johnson stopped him. Dan Reeves, since he's been here, his club has the best record in pro football. 2-minute warning comes to us. 14-7. The Giants lead the Broncos. Down to North Carolina to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels of Dean Smith. Second down and 7 at the Giant 15 with 2 minutes remaining. That's the owner of the Broncos in the middle, Pat Bowlen. Humphrey up the middle, couldn't find the handle. Third down.
Well, the Broncos are definitely in 4-down territory here, because when you're down by 7 and less than 2 minutes to go, you have to go for it on 4th down. So that's one thing that Dan Reeves can think about here, is he has 7 yards to go, but he can think about 1, going for the score, 2 for the first down, or 3, getting the first down in 2 plays.
Takes you back to a couple of other 4th down situations earlier in this contest. Elway out of the end zone, incomplete, intended for Ricky Nattiel. Used up just 9 seconds.
Isn't it funny how you play all day, Pat, all day, and the whole game is going to depend right here on this play. If the Giants can stop them, they'll win the game. If they can't, we could very well be looking at overtime.
Elway paid a visit to the sideline. Now he'll have Sewell, and I'm sure, well, I see Clarence Kay.
But he better watch the clock, because he ain't breaking the huddle. He only has 12 seconds to get this play off.
Got to hurry. He's down to 6 now. He has time. Incomplete. Incomplete. A couple of dives into the end zone. The last one by Kay.
Watch it here. He had good pass protection. He takes the thing, zips it in here. Boom, up in the air. Again, they still have a jump. It goes off Sewell. Now it's coming up in the air. It's a jump ball. The Giants win the jump ball.
Myron Guyton won the jump.
Now the Giants do have to get a first down, because even though there's only 1:45 left, the Broncos do have all their timeouts.
First and 10 Giants at their own 15. Sims to Anderson. Dropped by Holmes. Reverse coming to Ingram, to Lee Roussan. Stopped short of the first down, a pickup of 6.
I mean, with change of possession.
And they won't have that far to go. if they handle the punt.
But they won't have any timeout.
Right. Landetta got off a fine punt. Now Teal handles it. 4-6 on the hang time. Elway has a tough task. 1:15 remain. Four wide receivers. Johnson couldn't hang on. They used 5 seconds. Batted down. Johnny Cooks knocked it away.
I think these Giant pass rushers are so tired they can't really get to Elway. In fact, they can't get off the line. But if you're not going to get to them, if you're not going to get off the line, then jump up and make them throw over or through something. That's what Johnny Cooks did.
Third down. Michael Young. Brought down by Sheldon White. 22-yard gain, but the clock is running. Elway after a gain of 5. Burns valuable time. Eric Howard and Johnny Cooks brought him down. Got to take some shots at the end zone now. Instead, he decides to just stop the clock.
I think what happened, he didn't even have his wide receivers back to the line of scrimmage yet. He probably knew to try and run a play. He couldn't get anything out of it. So he would burn it down and try and regroup and huddle up and let Dan Reeves send in or signal in a play.
That makes it 3rd and 5. 23 seconds left. 3 wide receivers to the right. 14-7 Giants. Caught and out of bounds by Mark Jackson. 15 seconds left. Nobody else in football could make that throw.
Back, he was looking to his right, and then he threw it across his body all the way across the field, and that thing had no arc on it at all. That was all John Elway. That was all zip. And the Giants have very, very little gas left in their tank.
15 seconds left. Elway will go to the end zone. Not Teal. Up close to it, but Myron Guyton knocked it away. 8 seconds. Saying so long from Denver's Mile High Stadium, where the final score was the Giants 4.
Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Denver